What up, YouTube? It's Rules for Rebels here. Happy Easter. I'm driving home from Easter Sunday dinner at my grandma's house. And if you guys watch my video, I'm probably going to post these on separate days, but if you watch my video that I made earlier today, which I'll probably post before I post this one, I talked about the pros of Shopify. And like I said, there's a lot of pros of Shopify, but I focused on 3 of them. In this video, I'm going to be focusing on the cons or the negatives of Shopify. So there's not that many, in my opinion. For your average user who's not a web designer and is just looking to get some kind of sales platform put up, Shopify is an excellent option for you. And I'm going to try to come up with anything I can think of as being a negative for Shopify. They really are, in my opinion, few and far between. The biggest one is a killer, though. So let's get started. So my negatives of Shopify. Number 1 is the fee structure. It really pisses me off. Shopify offers plans that I think they offer like a light plan at $16. They have like a $29 plan. I think either a $59 or $69 plan. And then they have like a $179 plan. Now, there's not a whole lot of differences between the light plans. Obviously, don't give you phone support and a lot of other features. But most of the other plans, to your average user, you're probably not going to have any features in the $179 plan that you need that aren't in the $29 plan. But here's what kind of annoys me. So when I first signed up for Shopify, I signed up for the $29 plan. It's not a lot of money, and also through my business, it's not like some, you know, when I'm starting out like a new business, as it may flop, it may be cool. I don't like spending a ton of money because if it's not going to make the money back to cover the store, I'm just throwing money away. But I thought $29, it seems pretty fair. You know, sure, I could probably do WordPress for a little bit cheaper. I could probably get a hosting package for like $6. SSL encryption for like $79 a year, which winds up not being much, and a domain. And you know, monthly wise, I mean, it may wind up costing me what, $8, $10, $12 a month. So you know, you can do things cheaper than Shopify, but Shopify offers a lot, in my opinion. They offer the ability of somebody who's not that tech savvy, who's not a graphic designer, who's not a web designer, to throw together a really professional looking, really streamlined, crisp, nice looking site, and everything's pretty easy to do. The shopping cart integration and everything is very easy to set up. The apps are awesome. You know, things that I could never ever do on my own without hiring a designer on WordPress are very easy to do on Shopify. Things like loyalty programs, affiliate programs, or referral programs, all this stuff that I could never set up on my own Shopify store using Magento or WooCommerce or anything, I can do very easily on Shopify. And I think the $29 or even $59 is a pretty reasonable fee to pay. What really annoys me, and recently Shopify has been more transparent about this, but when I first signed up for Shopify, they did not tell you any, like maybe like in fine print somewhere they said this. But when I first started, I was using Shopify Payments. And Shopify Payments is awesome. They have built-in fraud filters. They take your payments for you. Everything's very user-friendly. However, at some point, Shopify kicked me off of Shopify Payments. They sent me an email. They said, look, your business does not fall within our acceptable terms of use. You're selling things in a category that's prohibited by our payment processing system. You know, basically, you're going to have to go find a new payment processor. Well, the very next month after that, I got a $900 bill from Shopify. Why? Because Shopify charges you 2% of every transaction. So if I sell $100 worth of stuff, Shopify is going to charge me $2. If I sell $1,000 worth of stuff, Shopify is going to charge me $20. If I sell $20,000 worth of stuff, Shopify is going to charge me $200. And so if you have, I mean, I guess either way, it's 2%, whether you're making a little bit of money or a lot of money. But when you start making a lot of money, or at least we'll say having a lot of sales, that it really adds up. And it's not as if you only have that Shopify 2%. Because you're not using Shopify Payments, you're also going to be paying another payment processor. Now, if you have a really good credit card processing relationship, you might be able to get 1.5, 1.7%, something like that. Let's say you're using PayPal. You're going to be paying 2.9% for PayPal transaction plus 30 cents. Plus, Shopify is going to hit you with another 2% for basically doing nothing. Just for the privilege of using their service, they're essentially your business partner taking 2% off the top. So you're paying 2.9% to PayPal, plus the Shopify brings it to 4.9%. So essentially you're paying 5% on every sale. And that's a pretty large percentage, especially considering if you were using WordPress with WooCommerce or Magento or something like that, or even using Volusion, which is Shopify's competitor, Volusion does not charge these fees. So essentially you could be saving 2%. It may not seem like a lot to you, but over the course of a year, if you do $100,000, $250,000, $1 million worth of sales, that 2% is a lot of money. And what really annoys me is Shopify is not really doing anything for that 2%. Like, I'm paying you, we'll say $29, $59. I'm paying you a monthly fee to use your selling platform. What have you done to earn 2% of every sale that I do? We're not talking, this isn't eBay, this isn't Amazon, where they're basically bringing a lot of traffic to you. Essentially, with Shopify, I'm no better off than WordPress in the sense that I'm responsible for driving all the traffic to my site. So if Shopify in some way sent traffic my way, well, fine. You want to take 2% off the top. Fine, you're sending me leads, and that's why eBay charges fees. That's why Amazon charges fees. And I'll tell you why this 2% seems ridiculous to me. If I'm not mistaken, Etsy charges sellers 3%. It might be 3.3% or something like that of transactions. Well, Etsy, through their people who go on Etsy and search for baby teething ring or whatever, they're bringing traffic to my Etsy store and my Etsy items. Shopify is not bringing me any traffic. It doesn't cost Shopify anything to send me off to a third-party payment platform. So to me, it's just straight greed on Shopify's part taking that 2%. Now, I will say at first I was super pissed off. Later, when I started exploring other options, I've learned that most very user-friendly payment or shopping cart platforms do have some type of fee structure. BigCommerce, I believe, charges a percentage, or at the very least forces you into higher tiered programs the more you sell. Does BigCommerce? Anyhow, a lot of the Squarespace, BigCommerce, a lot of these things. Volusion's one of the only ones that doesn't charge a percentage of sales fee to you. When I first, this whole Shopify thing with the 2% really pissed me off when I got like a $900 bill from them. And here's what really annoys me. Essentially, they're trying to force you into using Shopify payments, which I imagine they get some type of cut of, even though it's a Stripe. Shopify payments is essentially Stripe, but Shopify is somehow getting a cut of that. So basically, they're saying, if you don't use our payment platform, we're going to find a way to get some more money out of you. Essentially, if you don't use our payment platform, we're going to charge you like you are using our payment platform, even if you aren't. So you might as well use us. So it's almost like an extortion in some sense. And I know I'm really kind of going on and on about this fee, but it really pisses me off. Like I said, I was a little bit less mad after I realized it's kind of the industry standard that everybody's doing this. BigCommerce at one point was a good alternative, but a lot of people have reported that their BigCommerce stores are costing them like 900% more than they were a year ago, because the more sales you do, BigCommerce keeps forcing you up into higher tiered programs. And people who were paying like $29 a month are now paying hundreds of dollars a month. So really, if you're looking for the lowest fee structure, the best way to do it is to set up a WordPress store, buy your own hosting, buy your own domain, and run either Magento, OpenCart, WooCommerce, something like that. And if you're a web designer, or if you're pretty internet savvy, you can do all this yourself. And I guess here's why Shopify is worth that 2%. Because essentially, at the end of the day, if you don't have the skills to do this, web designers aren't cheap. If you're having to pay somebody to do this stuff for you, you're going to spend thousands of dollars in fees to a web designer. Whereas some people prefer, like personally, I prefer having more control. I hate having to go to a web designer to make every little change for me. So with Shopify, I can do most things myself, although I am having to come to them for the 2%, or having to give them that 2%. But I've read a lot about this 2% long enough, and that's just something I want people to be aware of. Whenever people ask, like, should I use Shopify? Shopify is a great platform. If you don't mind paying the 2%, it's not bad. But a lot of times, my kind of caveat to people is like, if you're looking to use Shopify payments, Shopify is the best thing since sliced bread. You can't beat it. If you're not looking to use Shopify payments, or if your business category is not allowed in Shopify payments, you may want to consider whether or not you want to use Shopify. I've talked about Volusion. Volusion is Shopify's competitor. They're really kind of putting a big focus on, we don't charge, transaction fees like Shopify does. And I've tried out Volusion. I have one store on Volusion. I'm an affiliate for Volusion. I've had some talks with Volusion representatives and some people in corporate at Volusion, and they do have a great system. I've used it. in my opinion, it's not quite as user-friendly as Shopify. The App Store and all that stuff isn't quite as good, but that's really my really, personally, my only beef with Shopify is really the fee structure. That's really the only thing that I don't like about it. But I do want to mention a couple other things that could be cons to some other people. So Shopify, you hear people talking about C++, this, that. I guess I'm not really a web designer or a coder, but I guess the platform, or whatever you want to call it, the coding that Shopify is built on is called ROR, I believe it's called Ruby on Rails. And that may be one downside to Shopify is it's very easy to find somebody to work on WordPress. And it's also easy to find people to work on Shopify. I believe Shopify also has some feature on their website where they can pair you or hook you up with a Shopify designer. But I will say, I think there's less people who are knowledgeable about ROR or Ruby on Rails. So some people say it can be a little bit more difficult finding somebody to do customizations to your site. So that may be one thing to think about. Like personally, for me, Shopify out of the box pretty much fits all my needs. There may be some instances where I'm like, oh, I wish I could move this over here, or I wish I could have this functionality. But really, it's nothing that's going to make or break my business, so it's not something that I'm willing to invest the either time, effort, or money into changing. But a lot of people do say, Shopify is awesome. It does a lot of things. The one thing Shopify isn't as, if you do want to do customized things, Shopify isn't that friendly to you customizing your store. Your average person probably isn't going to be able to do that stuff. You're going to have to go to a designer, and that's going to cost you money. So I guess as far as negatives about Shopify, transaction fees, it's not super easily customizable if you want to do something outside of what Shopify has set up for you. Now, I will say Shopify has a ton of themes. They have a ton of apps. So there is a lot of flexibility within the Shopify interface, I guess we'll say. However, if you do want to do something outside of that, or in addition to that, some people complain about that. So fees and a little bit of lack of customizability. There's one other thing that I really don't like about Shopify, and this may seem like a minor thing to some of you guys, and maybe it's just me. Due to credit card chargebacks and things like that, I typically insist on only shipping to the customer's billing address. Shopify will allow people to put in a shipping address and a billing address. There's no way to turn this off. So you can sort of hide it to where it makes it sort of tricky for people to have a different shipping address from a billing address. But without, I don't even know if it's possible. If it is possible, it's outside of most people's skill set. Being able to turn off the ability of somebody to ship to an address besides the billing address. And I know for most businesses and to a lot of people, that would probably be a negative running their business the way I do, because a lot of people buy things as a gift for people. Some people, a lot of people work long hours and they're not going to be home to get a package, so they prefer to have something shipped to their workplace or to their neighbor's house or whatever. So, it may be a unique situation. I sell a certain product that's got a very high dollar threshold, and for that reason, really to be on top of credit card chargebacks and things like that, I prefer to only allow people to have something shipped to their billing address. Probably 90% of people aren't going to be like me, but if anybody is in my situation, that may be something that you find frustrating. And like I said, I'm really stretching to find things I don't like about Shopify. To me, the only thing I really don't like is the fees, the fee structure, the transaction fees. Everything else I kind of like, but I'm trying to think of some things that you guys may not like. The only other thing that I can really think of that some people may not like, and this isn't even relevant for U.S. customers, I've heard people outside of the USA complain that there is a very limited selection of payment gateways for those of you who are in the UK or other countries. And I've also heard some people complain that some of the apps, I'm assuming apps that have to do with like accounting or inventory control or something like that, aren't that friendly to people outside of the USA. But I really don't got too many beefs with Shopify. Like, I'm super pissed at them about the fee structure, the transaction fees. And what really annoys me is not even necessarily that they have that 2% transaction fee. And they've been criticized for this a lot, but up until recently, they didn't even really reveal to you this. Like, you really had to dig to find out that there was a 2% transaction fee. It was like, how they have the charts that explain like what the different packages have or how we stack up against Illusion or whatever else. Nowhere on there did it say anything about that 2% fee. So I was really shocked to find out they had it. And they were very intentionally misleading about trying to hide that fee from you. More recently now, if you go look at their 3 or 4 different store levels and look at the breakdown, they actually have a column devoted to telling you what that transaction fee is if you do not use Shopify payments. And for most people, honestly, there's really no reason not to use Shopify payments. I mean, it's completely integrated into there. It's literally one click to turn it on. There's fraud filters. You can print your shipping labels and have the shipping fees taken out of there. Like, it's really an excellent system. But if you're someone like me who Shopify won't allow you to use their payment platform because of the nature of your business or the nature of the products, then it can create some headaches for you. And that's kind of what really annoys me about having to pay the 2% fee is I would love to use Shopify payments. They won't let me. So we're going to punish you and charge you 2% for not using our payment platform, but we also won't let you use our payment platform. So this video has run way too long for a video with cons of Shopify, especially considering that I really don't even have any cons. I kind of rambled for 8 minutes about how I hate their 2% fee. But yeah, I mean, really just to kind of recap, the negatives of Shopify are the 2% transaction fee, a little bit of a lack of flexibility in terms of customization, but like I said, for the vast majority of people, you're not going to need to really customize. Everything that you need is right there. And then lastly is for people outside of the US, some people complain they have limited payment platforms. But I really love Shopify. I'm probably going to continue building stores on Shopify. I actually have another business in the works, or another product that I'm going to be selling. And I am going to be setting that up on Shopify. I've kind of already started. I don't see any reason why I can't use Shopify payments, so I won't get hit with that 2% transaction fee that I really hate. But I'm a big fan of Shopify, guys. Hopefully I taught you something in this video. Give me a thumbs up if I did, if you enjoyed it. If you're not subscribed to my channel, click that button on the bottom left to subscribe. Check back for more videos. And if you guys have any questions about Shopify or any other platform, feel free to ask so in the comment section below. And then lastly, you don't need to use my link to get the free trial, but you can get a 14-day free trial to give Shopify a test run before you decide to build your store there. So I always recommend doing that. Volusion gave me that option, and that's kind of how I discovered Volusion. Shopify also has a 14-day free trial, so I will link below to where you can sign up for that free trial of Shopify to set up your store. One other thing, Shopify is very friendly to drop shippers. I know a lot of you guys hit me up about drop shipping. Even though I'm not a big fan of that business model, I know a lot of you guys are interested in that. So Shopify is a great platform for that. Catch you guys in the next video. Later.